Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are going to be taking a look at the 4-3-2-1, which for me is the best formation that I have used this year in FIFA. Now for me, this is the formation that I use the most. As you guys know, I use the 4-3-2-1 a lot, and it is probably one of my go-to formations. Now people ask me all the time, what formations do I use, what are my tactics, all this stuff. Now with formations, for me, I don't use the same formation all the time. This 4-3-2-1 is the formation that I probably use the most, but it's not the formation that I use all the time. For me, it's, as I've said to you guys previous, it's not about just having one formation. You can't just have one formation and stick to it and that be your formation you use the whole game. You have to be able to adapt in games, make adjustments. You have a formation that obviously is the one that you like using the most, but you always have to have at least one or two more formations that you can change to if this formation isn't work, because this formation won't work against every single formation, but it's a formation that I feel very comfortable in. And for me, this is arguably, in my opinion, if somebody pressed me for an answer, this would be the answer that I would give. If somebody says, what do you think is the best formation in FIFA, this would be it. Now the reason why, some people would say, look at your team, you've got an amazing team, but this is a very, it's obviously a very good team. Obviously we've got some top quality players, Neymar, Mbappe, Garrincha, we've got that red name Golan, we've got Firmino, Alan, Puyol, Kappa, Oblak, Militao and Telles, so we've got a really good squad. And what makes this team so good in my opinion is I've built it, the way I've built it in terms of the players, and we'll get into the tactics in a second that are my actual custom tactics. This for me, I've built this team like almost custom built. That's kind of how you have to think of building a team. You have to almost have it custom built. This team is built for me, obviously with the coins that I have available to me, but obviously I've built an attack with Neymar, with Mbappe, with Garrincha, with players that one, I like playing with, and two, suit my style of play. That's what I always say to you guys is so important when you're building formations and building teams and stuff like that, is you have to get players in those formations that suit your style of play and that you actually enjoy playing with. Because if you get players that you enjoy playing with, trust me, you will play FIFA a lot better. A lot of people will use players because they feel like they have to for chemistry reasons or whatever. If you buy players that fit your team, you'll enjoy playing FIFA a lot more. So going into my instructions, now for me, I have the fullbacks set to stay back while attacking. As you can see, I have them on stay back while attacking and overlap. Now the reason why I have them on overlap is because then it always keeps them on the outside of the pitch, and every now and again when they do venture forward, because they do venture forward even ever so slightly, maybe that when the team pushes up the field, they're always staying on the outside, so it's just making sure that we do have a little bit of width and we're able to get out. So that's the only necessary reason to having them on overlap. But the main reason why I have them on stay back while attacking is because when you look at my attack with Firmino, with Golan, with Garrincha, Neymar and Mbappe, that is such a ferocious attack that I don't need the extra players going forwards. Now the reason why personnel is so important, if you don't have as good a players in your team, which a lot of people maybe won't, if you don't have as good a players, like for example in a lot of my formation vids, I will tell people to go on balanced attack. Now when I make those videos, I make them for the majority of players. I make those with in mind that that's how most people will want to play, and basically based on people's players that they'll have. If I didn't have the quality of players I've got, I would play these guys on balance, because I feel like I would need the quantity of numbers over the quality. But because I've got such quality in my front five attacking, I don't need the extra numbers going forwards, because sometimes if you don't have the quality in your players, you need to have the numbers game. But because I have such quality going forwards, I don't need the extra players going forward. So it's a luxury that I have with having such a good attack, that I can now have a more solid defense. So that's sometimes the advantage. That's the big advantage with having better players in your team. Obviously it grants you certain luxuries, and that's one of them. Now the real ace up my sleeve was something that I actually obviously have implemented into our videos recently, but it was something that I was made aware of maybe only sort of 2.5 weeks ago, and it's made a massive difference to the way I play FIFA. And it's this central midfielder, which we've got Alan. Obviously he's an incredible CDM this year in FIFA, but the key thing that made it so clutch for me was finding this tactic drop between defenders. And it's just, for me, it's changed the way I play FIFA, and it's really improved how I play FIFA. Because before, when I used to play with this guy and stay back while attacking. Now that still was very good tactic, but it still wasn't what I was looking for. I was still finding that I was still open. I was still finding that my centre backs weren't being protected properly. And the way I really changed that was to have this guy on drop between defenders, and it changes so many things, because first and foremost, like when you're when your opponent's on a counter attack, obviously if you've been attacking, Alan sits in between your centre back pairing. So when you're going forwards, he's obviously one less player going forwards, but I don't want him to get involved in my attacking. So it just means that if I turn the ball over and begin to get counter attacked, he then steps out of that, you know, back two that we've got with Militao and Puyol. He then steps out of our centre back pairing, and we've always then got a CDM in position. Sometimes when you have on stay back while attacking, there's sometimes your CDM, especially if you don't have him with the right work rates or whatever it may be, he won't be there, he won't be in position. Every time this guy's on drop between defenders, he will always be in position, because he's coming out from that centre back pairing, and you can then use him to kind of like stall the midfield. You can use him to then go and press the ball whilst the rest of your team comes back and gets in position. So this was the thing that really changed everything for me, finding this guy, this tactic, and using it on drop between defenders is so effective. But also from goal kicks, a lot of people like myself will like to chip the ball out wide to our fullbacks, because I don't have any tall players up front to be able to win headers or in the midfield. I want to chip the ball out to my fullbacks. Now if I have them, when I have this central midfielder, if I don't have him on drop between defenders, my fullbacks are typically marked if my opponent is using a wing formation. So when I'm using this on drop between defenders, the centre backs now split, and they are the ones that act as fullbacks. The fullbacks then push higher up the pitch, and then Alan is that one in between that comes short. So now when I chip it out to my fullbacks, I'm chipping it out to Puyol or Militao, and chances are I'm going to win pretty much every single header, and I'm then just able to dink it over the top to my fullback and then straight on a counter attack. So playing this drop between defenders really changed everything for me, and has really helped my team massively. Now the two outside midfielders, Firmino and Nainggolan, obviously are top quality. Again, I fit these players to my personal. Obviously I was lucky enough to be able to get Raja Nainggolan as a red card, but the guy is absolutely amazing. But I think the important thing there, having two box-to-box midfielders is really important. Obviously for this formation, playing a flat midfield, they need to be able to attack and defend, but it really is important to have players that you like playing with as well. Firmino, love playing with him in FIFA. He's always an incredible player. I had his flashback card last year, which was insane. And Raja Nainggolan has got to be probably my favourite box-to-box midfielder outside of Ruud Gullit. He's so good. He can do everything. He can attack so well. He's a very good passer of the ball. Obviously, he's got a great shot on him. He makes so many good runs into the box, so many late runs into the box, and he scored so many clutch goals for me in really tight games. But then he's obviously a master in defence. You know, he intercepts so many balls. He's great at, he's got great stamina. You know, he's a great passer of the ball. He's always in position, so he's a very good player as well. So that's why it's important to have players that suit your team. And then moving it forwards to the attack, obviously some people will ask me why have I got Garrincha. They might be better wingers, you know, Messi and that. And I wanted Garrincha for me at the very beginning of the game. You know, when he was first an icon this year, I wanted to get him, I wanted to try him out, and he is amazing. I will concede Messi probably is better than Garrincha, but at the moment Messi, I can't really fit Messi into my team, and I love playing with Garrincha anyway. So it's just sometimes you have to, but that's the thing, you have to get players that you want to play with, and you'll find that you'll play a lot better with them. Garrincha is someone that I want to play with, and I love playing with him in my team. But I have, you know, on getting behind me, in terms of support runs, I have balanced width. The reason why I have balanced width, I don't want it on stay central because it makes everything too narrow, and I don't want it on drift wide because then it's just going to basically make this a 4-3-3 flat. So I leave them on balanced width because it still gives me a little bit of width in my team, which is important because the way that I play FIFA is quite a narrow game, but you still have to have a little bit of width in your team, especially given the fact that I don't tell my fullbacks to get forwards. I need a little bit of width from my wingers. So having them on balanced width does mean that every now and again they will drift wide and create a little bit of space, and that's why it's important to have two midfielders that you trust, because when Garrincha drifts a little bit wide, Nainggolan is the one that makes those darting runs in between the centre back and the full back, and that's why it's important to have players that suit your style of play. And it's the same with Neymar on the other side. When he goes, you know, drifts a little bit wide on an attack, Firmino is the one that makes that darting run in behind, and it's just absolute. That's why you have to get players that, you know, fit your style of play. And then we've got Kylian Mbappe up front. It's always great to have a lethal number 9, and again, I've got him on stay central and get him behind. It's the best way to play for me. Obviously, it's more dependent on what your players are in personnel, but given the fact that Mbappe's got electric pace, you know, he's an incredible finisher. we're just playing to those strengths, and that's the key. When you're playing FIFA, you have to play with players you want to play with, you have to play in a formation you like, and you have to play to the strengths of your team, and that's what will help you get a lot more wins in the game. Now, tactic wise, these are the tactics that I use. It's nothing too complicated. These are genuinely the tactics that I use to play every week when I use this 4-3-2-1 formation. As I always say, balanced non-defensive style is the best way to play. Width wise, I've got it on 4. I'm just testing the width at the moment, but 4 seems to be something that's really working for me. As I said, I like to play quite narrow FIFA and just have width when I need to, which is why the only width I get in my team is those left and right forwards, but they don't drift too wide because I don't want them to get stuck out wide. I still want them to get involved in the play, and more importantly, I want them to score goals. Depth, I play on 5, pretty standard. Offensive style, as I say, long balls are always the way that I play. Given the attackers that I've got, as I said to you before, playing to your strength of your team is so important, and you know, we use long ball because that's the way to go. Width wise, a little bit more wider on offense, because obviously in defense we're playing on 4. I like to play quite narrow. I don't mind giving up the width because I've got some pretty good fullbacks, so giving up a little bit of width isn't too much of a deal, because I would rather cover the middle of the pitch and let the guy go on the outside and try and beat me on the outside. Plus it also forces your opponent to try and cross the ball a lot of the time, and crosses aren't super effective in this game. But when I'm attacking, I want to be slightly wider. Just gives me a few more options, and it just kind of makes more gaps, and it just makes more runs available for my midfielders especially. Players in the box on 5, and then corners on 3, and free kicks on 1. So that is my team, and that for me is why 4-3-2-1 is the best formation in FIFA. It suits me down to a glove, and I think that's the thing to take away from this video, is that you always need to find a formation, players, everything just has to suit the way you play. Obviously the game this year, some people think the game is rubbish and the gameplay is bad and all that, which, you know, obviously that is all, they're all fair points, and not to say they're not wrong. You know, the game isn't great this year, but given that the game is the game, you have to find players, you know, whatever the game is, you have to find a formation and a set of tactics and players and all that fit your style of play. You know, people might ask, what's Mbappe? You can see that with my Mbappe, 115 games, 108 goals, 65 assists. You know, when we go and look at like Neymar, 72 games, 46 goals, 25 assists. Garrincha, 81 games, 51 goals, 29 assists. You know, look at Roberto Firmino, 304 games, 200 goals, 157 assists. You know, I play with these guys a lot. You know, the thing is as well to give players a proper go in your team, and to not flip and flop with your players and change your players and change your formation all the time. Stick to a formation that you like, get players in that you want, and then go from there. So that for me is why the 4-3-2-1 is the best formation in FIFA. If somebody pressed me, that would be the one that I would give. But that's it for the 4-3-2-1 video. So if you want to see more, do drop a thumbs up on a video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. If you want to see any other formation reviews, let me know in the comment section. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.